Joel Embiid had some slanderous words about the Toronto Raptors recently. We're going to break those down and talk about why Embiid is always so salty when it comes to Toronto. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Amateur Hour TV for another video on the second channel for Amateur Hour. On this channel, I go through additional NBA-related content, especially concerning the Toronto Raptors, that I just do not have enough time to go through on my main channel, Amateur Hour Sports, with nearly 13,000 subs. So I like to do it on this channel instead, where the vibes are just different. Still the same great NBA content, but I'm a little bit less professional, can be a little bit more, about that personal touch on the videos, and that's exactly what you get over here. So drop a like if you find yourself enjoying, and for more content like this, please make sure you are subscribed to Amateur Hour TV. But our video is about Joel Embiid. After the Sixers, they beat the Raptors the other day. They beat us 104-101. I was really upset about that game from a Raptors fan perspective because, well, the Raptors did a great job to fight back into that game, but up 7 late, only scored 2 points in overtime. Overtime's 5 minutes. They scored 2 points in all of overtime. Coaching was an issue, whatever. Raptors lose that game. Doesn't matter. The Raptors recently have just not been playing well. They've lost 6 games in a row, and Joel Embiid tried to pile on a little bit to the misery. He was quoted, "When you play a team like Toronto, they don't really care. It seems like most of the time they don't care about winning. They just want to shut down the other star players." Well, Joel, obviously a star player, a superstar in the NBA, my pick to win MVP going into the season. If he stays healthy, he has a chance of doing that this season. But Joel Embiid has liked to poke fun at Toronto. He very much likes to poke fun at Toronto. Now that he has that playoff series win over Toronto under his belt, maybe he feels a little bit more liberty in talking shit about the Raptors. And you could sense in the playoffs, like he was just going out of his way to say some negative things about the Raptors. And the biggest reason why he does that is that he knows he just gets a rise out of Raptors fans. It causes somebody like me to make a video about it, and it's just Raptors fans all over Twitter like to clap back at him in many ways possible. Now, there are multiple ways you can clap back at Joel Embiid for doing that. Number one, he has a 0-point game in his career against the Raptors because Marc Gasol, his father, just obliterated him all game on the defensive end. Joel Embiid has a 0-point game. Number two, there's that crying picture of Joel Embiid after he got eliminated by the Raptors in the playoffs when the Raptors won their second round series against Joel Embiid. By the way, winning in the second round, something Joel Embiid has never done in his entire NBA career. So he doesn't know a ton about winning. He does know about first round wins against the Raptors last year. Doesn't know a whole ton about second round playoff series victories, however. So this is always just get a rise. I mean, clearly, as you can tell, it is working over here. But typically with the Raptors, what they are known for, what Nick Nurse is especially known for, is that he's not going to let the star player beat them. If the Raptors lose because there are some role players having big nights, then so be it. That's why on my live streams on my main channel, we used to coin the term role player roulette. Which role player is going to go off against us tonight? Because it always seemed like there was one who was going to do that, because the Raptors, they just have so much of a primary focus on those star players, as Joel Embiid is alluding to. And Joel Embiid, one of the biggest stars, there's going to be a lot of a focus from the Raptors to actually try and stop that player. That makes sense from my perspective. That's just the way the Raptors play defense. But what has been the case for the Raptors in recent times, rather than this year, is that when they're putting their full focus on the star player, well, they can really limit that star player's numbers, but it just depends on the role guys, how well they play to see if the other team wins the game. The Raptors lose the game. Right now, the Raptors defense is so bad, they put all this focus on the star players, yet they still can't stop those star players, and they're still letting the role players beat them. So they can't stop the star players, but they're still trying to let the role players beat them. So everybody on the court is beating them right now. That's why the Raptors, part of the reason, I guess, why the Raptors have lost 6 games in a row here and have slumped to 13-18 on the season. So it's not necessarily a case of the Raptors, they don't care about winning. That's absolutely not the case, because we know winning a lot better than Joel Embiid does. We've at least been to 2 conference finals in recent memories, and we won one of those conference finals and won an NBA championship in this span. So as far as winning goes, this team knows how to win basketball games 100%. Joel Embiid, I mean, when the going gets tough in the biggest games, you have to question, does he know how to win these basketball games? And of course, there was that recent playoff series, but I'll take the NBA championship over a first-round playoff series victory before losing in a series you're supposed to win, probably against the Heat. I know the Heat were the 1 seed, but how about losing to the Atlanta Hawks in a Game 7 when you were the 1 seed and they were the 5 seed? So getting over the line in the biggest games, not exactly Joel Embiid's forte either. Raptors as a whole, of course, though, this season has just been very poor from a defensive standpoint. And look, you're a star player. You have to understand that when you're a star player, you're going to have a target on you. That's just the way it is. Teams know that if they can slow you down, then they have a much greater success of winning the games. And the Raptors are comfortable in taking that approach. So this is something that you have to live with. And it's not like the Raptors are the only team doing these sort of things. Maybe the Raptors are a lot more aggressive in doing this than other teams because, like, Raptors have been not clowned, but just it's just a bit of a joke around the league, like how many players they will put on your opposition superstar, desperate to not let that person beat you. But it just came down to, the last game against the Sixers where Joel Embiid still got a good amount of points. Harden didn't play that well, but Joel Embiid got a good amount of points, had some considerable help around the board. The Raptors did not give Siakam enough help, so the Sixers got over the line in that game. But they didn't really stump Joel Embiid enough. You go to the Brooklyn Nets game from Friday, most recent game on Friday, and the Raptors put a ton of focus on stopping Kevin Durant and a little bit on Kyrie Irving, a little bit extra on Kyrie Irving, and both of them had 30-plus points. And then there were still all the role players shooting really well for the Brooklyn Nets. So the Raptors, of course, are in a little bit of a disaster with their team right now. Joel Embiid is kind of sensing that, and he knows that if he says something like this, he knows that Raptors fans don't like him. He knows he's pretty well hated within the Raptors fan base. So saying these things gets a rise out of the fans. I'm sure he enjoys seeing the rise that he gets out of the fans. Like, again, there were a lot of comments during that playoff series where he is only out here to just piss off Raptors fans. So it is telling to the player that he has to think about this team so much all the time. And, I mean, it does dwell on you. Losing that Game 7 on the Kawhi shot, having that 0-point game that's still people talk about to this day, it's got to play on his mind a little bit. He's had the upper hand in the last year or so against the Toronto Raptors, but overall, the fact that they are on his mind as much as this is quite telling for the player. We'll see if this season he can exercise those playoff demons and actually win a second-round series. Can Joel Embiid actually get to a conference final for the first time in his career? I'd say it's unlikely. You're going in a series, you have to likely beat one of Boston or Milwaukee, and doing that is going to be remarkably difficult given how good those teams look at this point into the season. But plenty of games to go. Philly are definitely a contender to win the title, but you still have to win that second round series in order to actually go for the possibility of even getting to those NBA finals. But that wraps up on Amateur TV. If you guys did enjoy from the video, drop a like to support the channel and make sure you're subscribed to Amateur TV for more videos and content just like this.